Hey guys, welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. We got a nice little show for you today. Little different today. Andrew is actually on the road. He's going to be at a wedding this weekend. I'm actually going to be at a wedding this weekend. Shout out to my brother who's getting married to Aunt Sarah as we call her around the house because of my guy Kemp. He's getting married in Charleston this weekend. Started the Denver chapter of the BP crew out there. So shout out to those guys. I know a few of them will be out at the wedding. I got a best man speech that I got to tighten up a little bit, make sure that I go up there and deliver for his wedding. But filling in Andrew's shoes today, we got my man Jon Contino, who is to me, a legend in the design space. This guy puts his style forward. Doesn't give a fuck about who likes it, who doesn't like it. He is very raw to his personality, to the way that he goes, and is a massive Yankees fan. He and I are constantly going back and forth in DMs about the Yankees. So really excited to have him on. John, man, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Yo, thanks for having me. This is a little bit of a dream come true, getting to sit here and talk Yankees.
Hell yeah. Well, it's funny because I think you and I first started talking online. We've actually never met in person. The funny story, it's I know that you met Andrew. I was supposed to be at this event at Yankee Stadium. This was like 4 years back. It was like a Fiverr event or something. I know. So you were able to kind of shoot the shit with Andrew at that point. But we're talking back and forth about Yankees, I think, and then I started getting into I started really falling in love with just typography and trying to develop my own style. And I remember taking your course and we started going back and forth. This was like 2017, 2018 or something. So,
Mm,
yeah, I've always had a very it doesn't look pretty when I do things. It's all my own style. It doesn't look pretty to the masses. You know what I mean? And I think you gave me the confidence to say like, that's okay. That's okay. It's just like, you got to be
totally,
you. You got to do your thing.
totally.
Yeah, man. So give us just a little bit more background because I didn't do it justice. I'm sure you've done some amazing projects, but definitely just give a little background on who you are, man.
Well, everything you said was very nice, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick before I get into the background, that was yeah, there's a company called Fiverr, which is like notoriously like cheap for designers, and a lot of
Yeah,
designers hate them, but
gigs.
they tried to go up to like a high tier. And I like to give everybody a shot, even the people that maybe have a bad reputation. So we gave them a shot, and they did some things, and they tried to make their company better. And they gave us some VIP box seats at Yankee Stadium with Johnny Damon.
Johnny Damon. That's right. That's right.
So Andrew and I were there. I think Andrew was supposed to get an interview. I think that was like the infamous Johnny Damon interview that never happened.
Yes, that
It was
was
supposed to be that night.
we've been chasing. Yeah, so badly chasing the Johnny Damon interview. There's such insight coming from that
I,
man's mouth.
yeah, so that was funny. But yeah, so I've been working man professionally. I started working professionally when I was in high school, so like over 25 years ago now. And I started working via kind of like being in punk and hardcore bands, and kind of got into like small record labels and stuff like that, and then eventually just started doing my own thing. And now Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I did the alternate word mark for the Chicago White Sox that they wear once in a blue moon. I also Oh, thanks,
It's
man.
so good looking. That thing is sexy as hell.
And
It really
yeah,
is.
I
It
did
looks
their
beautiful. Yeah,
they have a streetwear
yeah.
line called 35th and Shields, which I've designed for them also for a few seasons, which is so funny too, because like the announced launch date of that was, I think it was like March 13th, 2020, or whatever like the first day of like mass quarantine was the launch date for that. So we never had like a proper
Yeah, right.
jump off. And then I also run a branding firm on the side, and we do a lot of stuff for sports, entertainment. I've done stuff for Netflix, Disney, 20th Century Fox, stuff like that. So kind of all over the board. But yeah, I grew up in Long Island as a Yankees fan, surrounded by Mets fans, and because I lived close to Shea Stadium, but my dad was a Yankees fan. He was a big Mickey Mantle fan and stuff like that. So I was a Yankees fan, and grew up in the '80s when the Yankees were notoriously terrible. And by the time '96 came,
Hmm.
all that pain was worth it, because I was born right after they were great, and they were only bad. So I was only a Yankees fan when they were a bad team. Of course, you had like Donnie Baseball and stuff like that, who I loved, and a couple other guys. but never saw anything that even resembled a playoff caliber team until '96. Well, maybe a couple years before that, but and then it was now it's everybody's like kind of been a front runner, even though they haven't won in 400 years. It still kind of feels like that. Yeah.
I was gonna say now we're back in the drought. We're back in the drought era. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I can relate to that era. I think we're probably pretty close in age. I was online, and I've told the story on the show before, but I was online in 1996, looking for World Series tickets. I remember getting there at like midnight with my buddy and his dad, and then there was a riot that kind of broke out around the stadium, and like cops were like clubbing people and shit. Like everybody was trying to get up closer in the line. The barricades were wrapped like 3-4 times inside the practice
It's
field around
amazing. It's
the line
amazing.
was
One
twice
of
around the
one of
stadium.
my
It was
greatest
wild. So
memories was after that
um,
'96 World
yeah.
Series win. I was at my cousin's house in Staten Island, and it was like we watched them win, and then my parents were like, all right, we got to go home. Get in the car. We could not get home because literally people were just stopped in the middle of the street, standing on the hood of their cars, just yelling and screaming and throwing shit. It was like one of the greatest
Yeah.
experiences. That like one of those things I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's awesome. That chaos in a
it's the
good with
best.
a good
Yeah, the
vibe is
best.
like the coolest thing ever. When everybody's out there for the same reason and just like
Yeah,
letting
it's the
out
best.
their excitement. Hell yeah. Um, Nice, man. So I just quickly talk more about the design stuff. Why sports? Is it like is the Yankee fandom help that
Totally.
feed that? Obviously, you have a love for sports. The being a Yankees fan. So does that make it? Because I mean, designing for the White Sox an alternate logo like that's an iconic brand, obviously, an iconic one of the major league teams, if not, if you're looking at, if there's not very many of them. So, in going back to like the Jeter doc, when there's an opportunity, you step into that opportunity, right? So
Yeah.
there was, yeah. How does that all play into your fandom?
Yeah, it was yeah, so I was huge, always a huge baseball fan first and foremost. Like just loved it. Like since I could pick up a bat. Played as a kid, played every version of baseball. We used to play stickball all the time and wiffle ball and
Yep.
leagues for everything. But yeah, huge baseball fan. And the thing was is that I was as you kind of mentioned, like I was really into lettering and I do a lot of branding and stuff like that. And sports was like the best place for me to kind of find versions of that stuff that was actually really interesting, like jersey lettering, logo lockups on hats, all that kind of stuff. That's where you see the best stuff.
Yep.
In the '80s too, there was like cool movie posters and stuff like that. Like I was obsessed. I used to like literally just draw the Ghostbusters logo over and over again because I thought
Nice.
that was the greatest thing ever. But like it was always about sports design. And I actually I mentioned earlier we just moved into a new house and I found a box of all my old stuff and I literally have sketchbooks full of old baseball team logo designs and like half the book is actually White Sox designs,
No
which is
kidding.
funny enough. Yeah, cuz I loved the old '80s White Sox logos. I was just
Yeah.
obsessed with.
Yeah.
So there was a ton of those. But yeah, it was just like so. I mean, is there any brand better than the interlocking NY? Like, there's nothing better than that. It's just
No.
kind of like the
It.
pinnacle of baseball design, everything. It's just the top of everything, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
No. It's
so
true.
but yeah, so it's just like sports and baseball specifically because baseball you kind of get like that history where things were still very
Yeah.
much made by hand. Like football nowadays is tough too because everything is, especially like thankfully it's kind of like going away from it a little bit, but like the NFL on Fox and all that kind of stuff, like the robot shit, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want robots, man. I want like hands on, gritty, stuff that
Leather.
feels
Yeah.
like a human made it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like sports has a really good it's got a good crossover into design, and it's just like people talk design and they don't even realize it. Like, I love these jerseys, I hate these jerseys, this and that. Like, I like this version of the hat, I got this colorway, I got and the way it all crosses over, even people who don't know, they like even people who don't know about design have lots of opinions on design. So, and especially in sports.
That's cool. You mentioned the interlocking NY being iconic, and yes, in the design world, in the sports world, baseball world, doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you don't like the Yankees. You can acknowledge what it is. The other thing that's
Right.
iconic, and this is my professional transition into some baseball, where we're going to actually talk Yankees baseball, is the number 61. The number 61 is iconic. Everybody knows that number as a home run number, as the Maris, the Eminem boys chasing the home run title back in the day, with Maris getting it. And you know, it's almost like the 90s produced those robots that you're talking about with the Bonds
Mhm.
and the McGuire in the record books. Like,
Yeah.
get those out of here. We're looking at what the real numbers are. And when you break down what Judge is doing right now, and you look at not only the Triple Crown, which is just like aesthetically pleasing, you get the home run title that he's going after, Ty and Ruth, which is insane. When you look at the numbers and you like actually put them onto paper, or you go to the record books and you get some white out and put it over Bonds, McGuire, and Sosa. It goes back to 1927. It's wild what he's
Yeah.
doing right now, and I think that if a lot of people, when they're going through this and looking at the things that he's doing, sometimes that's lost a little bit, and how long ago, before the players were all juiced up, how long these records had stood, and how long how much of an effort it takes to get to 60 home runs. So yeah, man, this whole week's been fun. Obviously, with Judge tying the record, or tying Ruth, on Tuesday night. But what are your what's your thoughts, man, watching this dude play this year, because he's been a madman.
I love seeing what he's doing, right? Because especially kind of um, at the very beginning when he kicks off as a rookie and he hits that first home run in that first game, and everyone's like, "Oh, this guy actually might be the real deal."
Back
And
to back
then
with
you know
Tyler
he,
Austin. I was in
dude,
right field.
oh, you were there.
Yeah, yeah.
What a game! Oh man, what a game! So
It was like 800 degrees. It was
it was
800
800
degrees.
degrees.
Yeah. I remember melting in the outfield.
But I remember that, like, the whole baby bombers come up and that whole thing, and then the following year he bats under 200, and it's this whole thing, and he keeps the number in his phone. I actually did. I was working with JBL at the time, and I designed this bat that was an Aaron Judge bat, and it had like the number 179 all over it, because it was like that reminder of him to where he's got to step up his game, and just kind of like thinking about where he was at, and how everyone was like, yeah, he can hit home runs, but the dude strikes out 500 times a season, you know, and then watching him transition into, number one, betting on himself, which you got to
Mhm.
love.
Yeah.
Number two, actually coming through, and not just only like betting on himself and hitting 40 home runs and 100 RBIs or whatever, like coming through and just breaking records, triple crown, like literally putting the entire team on his back and carrying them through one of the worst stretches of baseball I've ever seen in my life. And
After
then
one of the best bit stretches, which is the crazy thing. Like, the guy was never he never faltered. He was there the whole time.
so solid. Playing. A lot of people talk about like, oh well, he's just like a whatever mediocre outfielder, and that's just, you guys talk about the eye test all the time. I don't know how you call this dude a mediocre outfielder. He's like, his glove is in the stands, constantly robbing home runs. Like he doesn't dive, and I've never seen him dive and miss a ball. I don't think.
I don't think anybody who claims to know what they're talking about anymore, puts him on the map as a mediocre outfielder anymore. Like, because this guy, the fact that there's a 6'7" man roaming center field, he
Yeah,
he runs like a guy who's 6'2". You look at him, you're like,
yeah.
there's that guy's not 6'7". He doesn't move like a guy who's 6'7". He runs like he's 6'2". He's like confused. He's trained his mind to say that, no, I'm a 6'2" athlete, and,
I'm a
and
little
able to
guy.
do anything. I'm a little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Um, no, that's right, man. Back to that bat story. Were you designing the bat that he was using? So the
no, it was
179. What
no,
was
it
the
was it was it was
179? Like, where'd that come from? Was that coming from
so
him?
yeah. So he had this thing. So he had this thing in his phone, where he kept it in the notes app, where it just said like .179, because it was like that rookie, not that rookie season, the season, that 2016 season.
16. Yeah, he
Um,
was striking out a 50% clip.
he was just, yeah, he was just like, he hit that first home run. We all go nuts. Thank God we have a new player that we can hang our hat on. And then he goes 179 for the rest of the season. So the story is that he took the 179 and put it as like the top note in his phone to remind him that he was batting under 200 that first season. And then, of course, his real true rookie season, 2017, the dude hits, 52 home runs, like
Yep.
blows up the world, deserved the MVP.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, things went
robbed.
another way, but
Hmm.
um, but yeah. So the whole thing was like it was like this campaign, and it was just like the pictures of him holding the bat, and it's just like I'm Aaron Judge and blah blah blah, whatever, you know. But the whole thing was just like it had like all Yankee stuff and just 179 written all over it. And it was cool. It was actually I brought my daughter to a game, and they actually had it on display that day. I had no idea, and I was like, oh my god, look! And nobody cared except for us.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. That chip on the shoulder. I mean, that's referring back to the Jeter doc, like that chip on the shoulder mentality. There are so many times when I hear Judge talk and just like looking at the way that he conducts himself, that it reminds me of Jeter. It reminds me a lot of
Totally.
the way that he carries himself, and even the chip on the shoulder thing, like carrying around that 179. I absolutely love that. And Judge was known for when he was coming up through the system, every single time he moved up and got promoted to the next level, he did have struggles, but he corrected them every single
Hmm.
time. He
Hmm.
went through that pain, that struggle, and then worked his ass off to correct it and found those fixes. So, it's definitely a tribute to the way that he works and how committed he is to improving his craft. And now you look at this guy, like you throw anything in the strike zone and you better pray to God because he doesn't miss much. He's not, he's, Andrew and I were talking about this in the last show. It's like the last time I remember that feeling of someone or you just can't throw a strike to was Bonds. Like
Yeah.
Bonds, you
Yeah.
couldn't throw him a strike. If you did, you paid.
Yeah.
And it does feel like Judge is at that level. Ilya, you had some interesting some additional stats like the Triple Crown stuff, but there was more runs scored. Can you run through some of those?
Yeah, so it's just insane what he's doing this year, clearly. But he's leading in just about everything. So we know he's doing the Triple Crown right now. Him and Bogarts are there at 317 together. But
Puts a nice
Arias
little
is
wrinkle into this weekend series, this 4 game set
Hmm.
with Bogarts. Man, that's we did with not the wrinkle that we thought would be looking at the schedule early on, but it's definitely something.
I mean, is it just me? I'm like maybe more excited about the Triple Crown than the home run stuff. Like that, it like kind of means more. I think.
I think that when I look at because there are so many people that dismiss batting average today. One Judge doesn't. That's very clear. The
Yeah.
179 comment, and then also just like he's talked about it plenty of times. He wants that 300. Like he likes the way that looks too, and he understands
Hmm.
what goes along with that. And yeah, that's like the cherry. The fact that he's doing this, and then also on the Triple Crown side, you just don't see that in baseball. You just don't see that anymore with the power and the average. The guy just has complete control of the strike zone. So
And
it's fun to
it's
fun to see.
like Ilya's right about to say. Like it's not even Triple Crown. It's like quadruple septal crown. Like it's like
Yeah,
literally every single category. When you go through and you look at the stats, it's just like judge, 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 except for like stolen bases, and then it's all
right.
judge after that.
Yeah, sorry, Ilya, keep going.
no, you're good. The Triple Crown, I think it's exciting because the discussion has been MVP, Otani or Judge. What's going to happen? And we all knew Judge was having an incredible season. We knew he was going to hit a ridiculous amount of home runs. But in the last couple of weeks, this Triple Crown has come up, and it's feels like the nail in the coffin for the MVP debate. But
I
real
mean,
quick, some
it better be. Go ahead.
It has
some
to
of
be.
these some of these numbers. He's the third fastest player to 60 home runs, behind Bonds in 01 and McGuire in 98. His splits are dead even: 30 home runs on the road, 30 home runs at home. Uh, his OPS this month in September, we still got some games left. It's the third highest
Yeah, his OPS
of
is
any
stupid.
player in any month. And before the second game against Pittsburgh, it was the second highest. So that's still moving. This one's cool. The MLB average for OPS is 708 across the league. Judges slugging 705.
That's insane.
That's just
Ridiculous.
absurd.
It's insane.
He's
When you
leading the Triple Crown. The runs scored, it's only been done by 4 players. It's what he's doing is never been done before.
Ruth
all
in
around.
21, 23, 26, Gehrig in 31, Ted Williams in 42, and Mantle in 56. The other thing about this too, when you look at these numbers, and I feel like I do feel like he pays attention to a lot of this stuff and is like chip on the shoulder to get to this point to make sure that nobody has anything to say. When you look at Ruth got to 60 in 154 games because the season was shorter. So, that's a potential narrative that he nipped in the ass, got ahead of
Hmm.
that one. Like, can't talk about that now. Can't talk about that. Can't talk about the amount of games because they got there as fast. And now it's just him and the rest of these guys that had that had some help. So look, I uh I hope that he gets it in this next series, because the one thing that stresses me out a little bit is this thing sitting on 60 for too much down the stretch, because
Yeah.
like, he doesn't sit here, doesn't seem like he's affected. He's so even keeled that you can't really tell. He's the same emotionally throughout the entire season, no matter what the situation is. But this is bigger. They're cutting to him national TV now. They're doing, like, it is all about Aaron Judge and this number. So John, how do you think that the team's reacting? Because I have a thought on that, but how do you think the team's reacting to this and like, with him chasing this number and the Triple Crown
The,
too?
the whole team, like like his
The
teammates.
yeah, teammates, yeah.
It looks to me like everyone else is losing their shit except for him, which I think
Mhm.
is kind of like the way the way that it's got to go, right? Like everyone seems super excited. The dude is just like laser focused right now, and it's just you can see that he sees the light at the end of the tunnel, and he's racing through the tunnel, and everyone else is just standing there watching. And I mean, you
Yeah.
got some guys that are having some pretty good seasons too. A couple injuries and stuff, but like Rizzo, Rizzo's got like 31 home runs
Yeah,
too.
he's having a good year, and he was out a pretty substantial amount of time.
Yeah. So, I mean, you think about if he was playing for the amount of time that he was at, you could tack on another 10 home runs to that, maybe the way he was hitting too. So, it's not like he's just like this anomaly either. Like, there's some players that are doing some good stuff, even with some of those droughts, like Gleyber's picking up finally. So, to see some of these guys really start to heat up and have him like doing what he's doing and just like seemingly continually like amping up game after game after game as though like you can't imagine him going any further, and then he keeps doing it. It's nuts. And like Stanton too. Stanton hit 59 home runs, and he's sitting there, he's just like, this is nuts, to just watch that. So he's, what is there, like 14 games left or something like that. There's
Yep,
enough time
14.
for him to do something crazy.
There is. And so I agree with you. I think, first of all, this is something that we've been mentioning, but I think Rizzo is such an important piece of this team, not only for the things that he does on the field defensively, offensively, gives protection for Judge, but my God, do those guys look like they're in the sandlot, like they're like, best friends back there, hanging out. Like, they have a very good relationship. You can tell it's very open and out there. Like, you can tell that they have a good time together, and he keeps that clubhouse so loose. So the fact that he's chasing this, like, I think the team is having fun around it too. And
Yeah.
to take the pressure off of Aaron Judge, and this is my take on the team and like how they're reacting to it. When Stanton's been struggling, he was getting booed, like he's been
Right.
struggling since he's come back, but he had a different look in his eyes in that ninth inning. In that ninth inning, after Judge hit the home run and then they were coming back, um, he looked like a man possessed. He looked like one of those, like those, when he gets the fingers going, he was a little bit more of a crouch. So like he had the brim of his helmet was lower. He just looked like he was like I'm not fucking around right now. And you could tell that he was going to hit the piss out of something. And the ball before he hit it out of the stadium, he just missed it. I mean, it was straight back.
Yeah.
When that ball was straight back, it was a line drive essentially to the net. And I love his quote afterwards when Meredith was talking to him after he hit the home run. He's like, "That thing better gone out. It had a little motor on it." Because
Yeah.
he hit the shit out of that ball, and it was a line drive that, like, not, maybe three people in the world pull that ball at that launch angle to get out of any stadium, because he just hits the shit out of it. So
I think what did Judge call it? He called it like a 10-foot laser, I think.
yeah, it was a piss missile is what it was. Like,
That at bat though, like even though Stanton was just like every swing that he had, he looked like he was gonna fall down. But
yep.
that at bat, like he just looked like good Stanton. And it was,
Mhm.
if he didn't hit a grand slam, I would have been shocked, because he just looked like whatever was coming through, as long as it was close enough, it was gonna be gone. And then he did, and I was just like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that's exactly what he looked like. Yeah, no doubt. He had a different look in his eyes. Like, he was a man up there for a reason. And I think a lot of that is because, Judge was doing his thing. Judge literally came up and just like, oh, lead off home run, like no problem.
Yeah.
And then they do the comeback with a grand slam It's just you could tell that there was a lot of like, let's pick up this guy. He's doing it. We gotta step our game up and I think he's raising the level of everybody. And then you got a guy
Yeah.
like Rizzo and Gleyber who are just having so much damn fun in that clubhouse. Winning's fun, like no doubt, but they
Yeah.
definitely bring another element to it.
Well, some guys like respond really well to doing good. Like Glaber, when he's doing great, he's happy, he's relaxed, he's loose, he's like hitting the ball all over the field. He's like good. When he's down, the dude is just like he can't. He's just like breaks down. But you get a guy like Judge, if he gets into a funk, or even a Stanton, like you know they might look a little off, but you can tell that they're kind of like still zoned in. So it's nice to have some of those guys that are anchored to kind of, help the other guys kind of stay on track with like a Glaber and stuff. So when Glaber gets back on track, then he's having fun, then it's looser, then everyone's kind of chill, and then, it upsets me and worries me a little bit that there's a little disappointment in the clubhouse too, with like Hicks and some of the stuff that Hicks was saying. And, I'm sure Andujar is probably not too psyched about how the season's going either. They put him in like, you know, every 2 weeks, and the dude's a good hitter too. So it's just like, I feel like there's a lot of good vibes going on there, and there's a couple of sour apples maybe that kind of like roll around.
Well, let me ease your pain. Let me ease your pain because Harrison Bader has arrived. Harrison Bader,
Yes.
Bronxville native. When you hear him in his post game, it's just like it gives you a good feeling. You're like, oh, okay, this guy, he's one of the guys. He's like he knows he's from the area. He sounds like he's from the
Mm-hmm.
area. Like he just gives you that level of comfort, I think. And Aaron Hicks, your boy that you were just talking about, I'm not saying he's your boy. He's the guy on the team, Aaron Hicks, leaving in street clothes yesterday, feeling under the weather before the game,
Yeah.
leaving in street clothes. So like, maybe that vibe left the building and hit the links, was going to the driving
That's
range,
true.
trying to make sure he's ready to go. I mean, like to be serious about that though, you get Harrison Bader coming in, who has been off to a great start. Off to a great start. He essentially carried the Yankees offense before that ninth inning.
Mm-hmm.
And we know all the things that we know about him. Ilya and our other guy Logan pulled some numbers on Bader. I'm trying to find them in real time here, but he's a guy that we know is the defensive specialist, right? He's in 21. This guy had 15 defensive runs saved, 11.4 UZR, which is second in baseball. So whether you know what that stat means or not, it's second in baseball. That's the big thing. And then in 2022, like this guy has 81st percentile when you get into some more deeper metrics in the outfield jump. So his first step is great. 93rd percentile in sprint speed, and then outs above average, 91st percentile. So we're getting a guy that looks the part, sounds the part, feels the part, and in the field. You mentioned that having that steady guy and that steady presence in the clubhouse that can ground people. Well, we need a steady presence in center field too. Someone
Mm-hmm.
defensively who the pitchers understand that they got, this guy has their back. He covers a ton of ground. Anything that goes out there is going to be swallowed up. And now you're really improving the defense, I think, throughout the entire outfield. And then you got Cabrera going over to left field, and Hicks isn't there. Cabrera's popping in with that youthful exuberance, and he's been just fun to watch. He's been throwing guys out left and right in right field. He had a little bit of a miss. The ball was misplay in left field, but he's going to learn left field and those caroms off that wall with balls that go down the left field. But we're still gaining when you put Cabrera in left field over Hicks. So I feel good about where the outfield is right now
Yeah.
with Bader in and frankly, like, sorry, Aaron Hicks, but with Aaron Hicks out.
Yeah, I mean Cabrera. I mean, I'm loving Cabrera. The energy that's coming off that kid is just unbelievable, and it's just like, I mean, considering Yankee Stadium outfields is its own unique thing, just like every ballpark. Like you can't put him in left field for the first time and expect him to know how to play every single ball, every hop, every corner, this, that, ricochet, whatever. I mean, it's not like that one ball that went to the corner that he kind of misplayed a little bit was devastating to the game either. It was kind of one
No.
play, and it was just like, it's one of those things that it seems like you look at the guy and he knows that that's not going to happen to him again. He's like,
Right.
oh, I see. When it hits there, it's going to bounce this way. I know where to set up. So I feel pretty good about that guy at literally any position. And then Bader
Yeah.
in center. I mean, that one fly out where he was running backwards to prep himself to throw was, you don't see that either. So it's just like losing Montgomery was kind of, that was kind of a stinger, especially when they kind of started to take a shit, and then just being like, what, we got an outfielder that like can't walk, like great. But
Yeah.
seeing the first 2 games that he's played, I'm kind of like, it worked out. I kind of pretty happy about this now.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that pain has been helped a little bit. Obviously, Montas is now on the IL
Yeah,
with the shoulder inflammation. Like, I don't even want to talk about that because it just I know we don't know what we don't know at this point with him, but at the same time, it's like you got to believe they got damaged goods and just didn't do the right diligence on
yeah,
what that shoulder, what condition that shoulder was. Anyway, Herman has made us feel better about that too because he's been pitching better. He's been pitching well out of the rotation, and now with Montas going down, he's plugging back into the rotation with Sevy back. We'll get into Sevy in a few minutes, but yeah, there's good things, man. There's good things happening with Bader, and he needed it, to be honest. The fan base,
yeah,
I think, needed him to come out of the gate hot and like
yeah,
show that
yeah,
why they made that trade and why he's that guy. So, hopefully he continues that. And it's easy to root for. Like, I know we all love homegrown guys, but we also love local guys that come in
yeah.
and wear the pinstripes. Like that just gets all of us when we see the pictures and hear the stories of them being Yankees
Well,
fans growing up. We
it
can
was
relate
like
to that.
it was like Vasquez, right? It was just like putting
Yeah.
him
Oh
at
yeah.
short, being like a Bronx kid or whatever, and just being like,
Hmm.
yes, keep him there. He's great. Like
Yeah.
maybe his numbers didn't really support that totally, but like he had the right energy, he had the right attitude. Like, I saw him make a lot of really good plays. Maybe his bat wasn't quite there, but it was like one of those things where I was like, as a fan, I was willing to just kind of like let some of that stuff slide just because he was a
Right.
local dude and he felt
It's
he
so funny
felt
how that
felt like
happens.
a
It's so true
Yankee.
though. Yeah, it's true. It's like we have a higher tolerance for the local guys and the homegrown guys. I'd say there's a
Yeah.
longer leash. I mean, there's definitely a much longer leash for that because I think it's because we want to see them do well so badly
Yeah.
that we will wait a little longer, have a little bit more tolerance for that guy for that guy to do well because we want that so badly. Like we want to
Yeah.
root for that guy.
It's true. I
It's just
mean,
funny
I
how the
still
fan
like
brain works.
he even, going out to the Angels and stuff, like he's a guy that I'll still root for forever. It's kind of like a Didi thing, like when Didi
Hmm.
became a Yankee, he kind of, I think he won everybody over pretty quickly with the attitude
Yep.
and the way he played and some of those like, some of those big home runs that he had in the playoffs and stuff. And when he went to the Phillies, it's not like he wasn't one of those guys that when he left, I was like, I'm not going to pay attention to him anymore. Like I still very much pay attention to Didi because he's like one of those guys that feels like kind of like once a Yankee, always a Yankee kind of deal, even though he didn't even start with the Yankees. So there are those, there are definitely those players that have a leash. And I'll
Uh,
put him in there, even though he was only around for a couple months.
yep. I hear you, man. Everybody loves Squid. Cool. So then, yeah, Tuesday. I mean, thank you, Pittsburgh. Thank you, Pittsburgh, for coming into town. Timing was perfect. Got it. Definitely needed this. Definitely needed the vibe check. I think on how this team was playing. Got judged to 60, and then on Wednesday night, it became a bit of a laugher. And Yankees cleaned up with 14-2. But Sevy comes back. Sevy returns, throws 5 innings, gave up a hit, couple earned, and struck out 6. But he looked like he was in control. It looked like he was out there. Like, I'm not worried about the stat line necessarily. One, I want to see you get through that, get through 5 innings, which was prescribed. That's what they were looking for. Get through that healthy, look strong, look like you're in control. And I thought he was every bit of that. So he's huge, man. Like with Montas not being the number 2 guy that we thought he was going to be with the trade deadline, and Nestor obviously being very solid all year long.
Hmm.
Severino's got to be, to me, that next that guy who we can lean on in the postseason. Like, he, of all the guys, has the most dominant stuff, the highest
Yeah.
ceiling under, next to Cole.
Yeah, and it was. This is the point where it kind of sucks being a fan, right? And like having to kind of guess what's going on. Because when Sevy went down, he was doing. He did that interview where he's like, "I feel good, like I could pitch next week," and they shut him down for like what was it, like 4, 5, 6 weeks or something like that, where he wasn't pitching. And his comment was basically like, "No, I'm fine. I'm good. I can go out there and pitch." But like at the same time, is it one of those things where he's like, "I want to pitch," and then you end up with like a DJ LeMahieu situation where he's playing injured and not doing well, or like a Cole in that, in that wild card game where he just like shit the bed, because he was playing injured, so like seeing him come back and be pretty, first inning a little shaky, but like pretty locked down the whole thing. 5 innings, whatever. Look pretty damn good to me, and I feel great. I love Sevy. I think he's great. I think
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
He's had some shaky starts here and there in some important games, but he's got the experience now. I feel pretty good about him and Nesta going into the playoffs. It'd be nice if Cole kind of like stopped giving up so many home runs and just kind of like
acted like the
yeah.
damn ace.
Yeah. So
No,
I mean, those three guys, if Cole could keep the ball in the ballpark, I feel pretty good about those three guys. And that's, it's nice to have three solid pitchers going into the postseason.
yeah. So that game also, this is the crazy thing about the grand slam, obviously, to walk it off the night before, and then Cabrera first inning hits the grand slam. So you have 2 innings back to back grand slams, obviously different days, but that's something that's fun, and again, just like got them going. And then Gleyber, man, Gleyber's been so good. You were mentioning him earlier and how he's swinging a good bat. September numbers: 313, 378, 582. Slash line 960 OPS. He's got 5 home runs, 16 RBIs in the month of September. Like, the guy's killing it. And you see last night in the in that ninth inning. I'm sorry, yeah, it was the 8th inning. He had 2 home runs. The guy comes up, 2 home runs, 1 left field, 1 to right field. Oppo Gleyber is good. Gleyber. We kind of ran this one into the ground as much as possible. But when Cam Maben is on the mic talking about middle of the field approach, I like it. I like Cam Maben's commentary, but he's so damn right. That middle of the field approach for Gleyber, it allows him to spray the ball. It allows him to stay closed for longer and to hit the opposite way. And that's when he's good, man. When he's locked in and can stay back, he's very good. And September has proved it. And he did it at a point where there were a lot of injuries and Judge needed some protection, and he did step up. So I think we need to give him a lot of credit for how he really did turn that around and was the guy that they needed for Judge for that protection, because there was no reason to pitch to anybody else. There was no reason to pitch to Judge at all. And Gleyber did provide some protection for him.
Yeah. And it was, it's like looking back to the first half of the season when this team looked like a team of superhumans, and you couldn't pitch to anybody, not even, like Trevino comes in, we're thinking he's just going to be like play half the games at catcher. And the dude is like, how many, he had a couple walk-offs, like some huge hits, and kind of like losing that in that August, like drop. It felt like it was just Judge up there. You could pitch, nobody did pitch around Judge really for some reason, even though they could have easily. But like now that he's got more protection, he's got Rizzo, he's got Gleyber, he's got hopefully Stanton kind of on the way back. I mean, these guys are going to make people cry, and it's going to be, hopefully it's going to give us exactly the kind of energy boost that we need going into October. And, I'd love to see a couple of teams like burn out that were playing really great all year, and see the Yankees kind of take this as their kick in the ass to go back to, May and June.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I'll go back to this quote until it's no longer true, or until it becomes completely proven wrong. But I think it was Derek Jeter Day, or no, was it Derek Jeter Day, Ilya? I forget. When they interviewed Posada, I think it was when they interviewed Posada, or no, it was O'Neill. It was O'Neill or Jeter, one of the 2 days. And they were talking about interview Posada, and they interviewed him and they asked him specifically about the struggles that the Yankees were in the middle of at that point. And he was like, I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad it's happening. It's good for them. They will come out of this that much stronger, and they will be battle tested for end of September, October, and into November for postseason. And that's speaking. He's talking from experience. Like the team had been battle tested in '98. Like they had gone through struggles before they came out and really hit their stride late in the season. And when you're looking at some of these, you mentioned Severino, actually going back to this one, you mentioned Severino and how they did take their sweet time with him, making sure, and I'm glad they did that. And that early season, the first half, even though they got rid of that lead, it did allow them to be a little bit more careful with some people. And I think Severino is one of those guys they absolutely needed for this last 2 weeks of September for guys to be healthy, guys to be able to get back in time to, to get a rhythm, to get into the flow of the games, but be healthy for the playoffs. And when you're looking at who's coming back, and we'll talk through some injuries in a second here, there are guys coming back, and it's like they've definitely taken their time with some guys to make sure that, hey, we're stocked and ready to go for this last week and a half of the season, and then into a playoff run.
I mean, it's all set up. It's right there. Some of the guys that are coming back. I mean, even Britton, maybe he'll make a difference. Seeing some of these guys come back and some of the guys start to click a little bit right now at the end of the season is kind of exactly what you want. You kind of can't write it better than that, but at the same time, it's just like they fell so hard off a cliff for that point. You're just like, you don't know what the true Yankees team actually is. I remember at the All-Star break, everyone's saying, if the Yankees go 500 for the rest of the season, they're still going to win 100 games. And they went like under 500, I think, because 100 games is...
Oh, yeah, significantly under.
Yeah, it's not... 100 games feels kind of like it took forever to get to 90 wins. Like I kept looking at the standing. I'm like, they're not at 90 yet? Like everyone... the Mets, the Dodgers blew, way out there, the Astros, so it's just like seeing them kind of like hover around 80 for that long. It makes you wonder, like, is this the real team? Which is did they have like a really insane lucky streak for those first 2.5 months or whatever? Or is just like some bad luck happened? A bunch of guys got out of whack and now a bunch of guys feeling better. They're coming back. DJ hopefully coming back soon too. So, maybe it's kind of like Voltroning right now and it's just kind of getting ready. Ready to be monsters again. I hope, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So let's dig in before we wrap here. A couple things that definitely want to hit on. The bullpen. When you're looking at the bullpen right now, it's definitely in a position of, I don't want to say weakness, but it's not doing well. It's not doing well. There's no true closer right now. That job seems like it's up for grabs at this point because collectively there's struggles. Holmes comes in with runners on, gives up that 3-run shot the other night. Like he's just not dialed in. He's not around the strike zone as much as as we need to be that lockdown closer at the end of the. But Ilya pulled some stats here, and Logan pulled some stats for the bullpen since September 1. Loaizaga, 9 games, throw into a 2.61 ERA. So Loaizaga, I know he gave up a bit the other night, but he's been, I think, the most solid guy that you're out there, especially in high leverage, and he probably has the most trust of the guys who did well in September in those high leverage situations. Holmes has been thrown to a 4.66 ERA. He's walking guys. He's allowed runs in 5 of his of 9 appearances. Wandy Peralta has been very good. He's kind of one of those unsung heroes. He's a grinder. He's a workman back there. Like he comes in, he's not flashy, but he does get the job done. And I think that Boone does have a good amount of confidence, but you're not going to see him consistently in the 9th or 8th and 9th inning. Like he's just not that guy, or at least not what they want to be in that guy. Trevino, throwing to a 3.3 ERA, 7 appearances, a home run. Marinaccio's been struggling a little bit, 4.5 ERA. He's been giving up some home runs. He's been walking a lot of guys, six walks in 6 innings. Not what you want to see there. And then you get into Clark Schmidt, who's been very good, and he's one of those guys that's been stretched. 13 innings, 15 strikeouts. Like he's a guy that I have confidence in, but he gives you the ability to stretch it. So I could see him being used potentially as a guy if someone, he's first one in, right? If someone struggles, he's first one in, I think, and coming in and going to be that cleanup crew. And then we get some guys back. Like Licky's in there too. He's been giving up a ton of hits. Like I don't think there's a lot of confidence in him. But then Chapman came back after Ross is coming back
too. Don't you think
he does,
Licky kind of looks burnt out?
I think the mustache needs to go.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think it's time to
I feel like he
thing.
needs. Yeah, let's get a clean cut. Let's get rid of that mustache. It doesn't really work all that well for him, I don't think. Let's go in with a fresh look. Just let's try something. Let's try something a little different.
I was watching him last night, and he was in that. He came in that first inning, gave up a couple of hits, and the look in his face, like I know. I know the look of being tired, man. I get that. And then he went back out for the next inning. I'm like, oh man, this poor guy. He just wants to sit on the couch.
Yeah, no, it's you're right. He does have that look. Efros coming back. He's being activated today, which is good. Chapman back had a clean inning. So if we can get the good Chapman back, like that's huge. But who the hell knows? And who the hell knows? Like I got no confidence in it. I'm shaking in my boots when that guy comes out on the mound.
Yeah.
He's sweating like a, like nobody else. But again, if he's good, he's good.
Yeah, whatever, man. If throw anybody out there, that's good. I don't care who they are. If Chapman could find a way to settle down, it's one of those. He might just be done. Like he might just be done. It's just we've had a few years of like the wrong pitch at the wrong time. That's kind of soured our experience with him. And then coming in and you see that first pitch that he throws out of the strike zone, and the inning is a complete disaster after that first pitch. It's going to be scary to bring him in and for him to sail one up out of the zone or something like that. And then you're just like, oh, we got this Chapman today. Kind of over Chapman. I wish there was anyone else that could be there, but we don't really have those. We don't really have that depth anymore.
You know what he does? He has one last shot. He's got one last shot here. He's not getting re-signed next year. This is the last we're going to see of Aroldis Chapman. So let's hope that he can go out on a high note. Let's hope that he understands the situation and that Yankee career on a high note. Because guess what we will do as a fan base? We will forget about everything. He comes in and he has a good postseason. Yankees go deep. God willing, get to the promised land, and Chapman's a part of that. Hero, like like Men in Black me. I don't give a shit about any of his bad stuff. Like that's it. That's all I need. That's all I need.
If Chapman comes into a few postseason games and he shuts down in important moments, you're gonna have everybody on Twitter saying Chapman and Mo.
yeah. It'll go to the complete extreme at that point. And
everyone.
Fine.
Everyone's gonna forget like the past 3 years or whatever, and they're just gonna be like, "Nah, man, he's the best. Let's sign him again."
If Twitter gets to that point, we're in a good spot. You know what I'm saying? Like Twitter could go to some bad places. If Twitter gets to that place where we're putting up Chapman and Mariano Rivera postseason numbers side by side, I am going to be a happy man. I think we will all be.
We're all meeting at the parade. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
if Twitter goes to that place.
That's it. And then the last guy is you mentioned him before, Zach Britton. Seemingly healthy, finished with the rehab assignment. At the clubhouse, ready to go. We were talking about this before. Ilya and I were talking before we got on. It seems like there's a 40-man thing that they got to figure out to get him on and make sure that they like where he is and all that. Another guy that's pitching for another contract, probably somewhere else, not going to be coming back. I think we all thought his last game in the Yankee uniform was last year when he got hurt. But to his credit, man, like he's come back pretty damn fast for that injury. And if he can be somebody out of that bullpen, like obviously that's a guy with experience that has closer experience. And if he's pitching effectively, that's a good thing. And then to kind of wrap up some injury stuff, Carpenter took the boot off. X-rays showed he's healing. And apparently, listening to the broadcast last night, he's been hitting too with the boot on. Like, I love that. That's a guy that needs to keep the mustache. That mustache stays.
Yeah, he does.
Licky goes. Tale of two mustaches. But, not going to be here. Him and Benintendi also in a similar situation, I think, where from what Meredith and all the other beat guys have been talking about, not going to be here for the end of the season, but maybe an option if once the Yankees get into the postseason to come back. But we'll see. Carpenter, could be a weapon off the bench.
I mean, Carpenter could come in. They could activate him for the playoffs, or maybe not. Maybe if they make it a little farther in, I don't know how it would work out with the series and where he's at or whatever. But maybe it's divisional, maybe it's championship, maybe I'm looking too far into the future. But like, I could see him being like a real like, what is it, like Raul Ibanez, like 2012 kind of guy.
Exactly
I could
what I was
see.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Just gets on a
totally
torrid streak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to figure out how to play him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Then he's all of a sudden DHing, and he's in there. I could see that. Like he's got that in him. He's got that gritty veteran presence who just goes up there, no batting gloves. I don't give a damn how cold it is outside, and just goes up there and hits, and is like just very productive. So I definitely could see that as it's the storyline kind of fits. It's nice.
Oh, you want to see it happen just because of what he went through and kind of like how he started. He's like, I'm carrying bags for you guys.
Yeah,
I don't care. As long as I'm in the
yeah,
clubhouse, I don't care. And then he was hitting better than Judge until he got hurt too,
yeah.
which like every now and again, someone mentions that about how great he was and how fast he was hitting home runs too. Like, I feel bad for the guy because like he made such an epic comeback from such a dark place, and then he gets hurt. Like, I can't even imagine what his house looked like after after he got home from that game. Like, every lamp was shattered.
No, it's true, man. It's so yeah, the storylines are there. It's just a matter of we can see them play out. All right, dude. So we got a 4 game set with Boston. Obviously, not what we thought when we look at it, the schedule early on in the season for this game and the meaning of it. But there are implications, obviously, for the Yankees with just maintaining their presence, maintaining their them hitting well right now. Thank you again. Thank you to Pittsburgh for getting us on off the schneid and getting us onto a good spot. Got to keep that up, and then yeah, I think we're all going to be staring at the box score between between the Red Sox shortstop and Judge, and looking at, because
Yeah.
they're right now head to head in the batting average, and that is, he's essentially the guy that's standing in the way potentially of a triple crown. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I could. I mean, the way that the guys seem to support each other, I could see them making sure he does not get on base. Like, that is like the goal for the series, is making, because it's just like, you don't. I mean, obviously winning is important. The Red Sox as a team aren't really that important right now, but I feel like
Right.
the guys probably have a certain target, on his back to make sure that he does not hit the ball anywhere
No doubt. And
important.
I think that's a little bit extra motivation. Like that type
Yeah,
of shit. Like, I love that's in the
yeah.
clubhouse a little bit. And it's like all the guys are rallying around Judge getting this thing. So he's very supported in so many different ways. And yeah, they're going 4 games against them.
The only thing that I worry about with Judge is that, and this kind of circles us back to the beginning with like the '80s. Is like, I don't want Judge to be this generation's Don Mattingly, where it was like a superstar on a team that doesn't do anything. Like, as soon as, like, the fact that like Don Mattingly came onto the Yankees like right after they were winning, and then left right before they started winning, is just like, this guy is such a beast, and he's doing such great things for the team, and he's doing such great things for baseball. You know,
Yeah.
like, I feel like he needs at least a championship under his belt. Like, he needs
Yeah.
it. He can't you can't be in that conversation with Ruth and Mantle and all these guys and just be on a team that doesn't win. I mean, playoffs every year, sure, but like, without a ring, like, honestly, who gives a shit?
The other thing he needs, and my God, it better fucking come, is a new goddamn contract.
Is
Is
a
a new
check? Yeah.
contract. Yeah, because at this point, like, I don't see how the Steinbrenner family can possibly walk away from not being the highest bidder for Aaron Judge at this point. I don't see how you can possibly face the fans. I don't know. Like, he has to be locked up. Like, there is not a more important player that has worn the pinstripes. And in this situation, I think you could even put
Hmm.
that last contract for Jeter in a different spot, because he had already done
Yep.
so many things. But with Judge on the precipice of this triple crown, the number of 61, and the fact that they do have a team that should compete. If the Yankees don't re-sign him, it's a catastrophe, in my opinion,
I
like a
mean,
complete
you're
catastrophe.
literally, yeah, you're giving away this millennium's Babe Ruth,
Yeah,
for that. Like, if they do not lock him up, Yankee Stadium will be burned to the ground. It's just,
yeah.
and it's one of those things too. I've talked about this before. They put the stupid judges' chambers out in right field. The gimmick, the
So
Yankees
early,
don't do
they did it so
gimmicks,
early
and
too. Yeah,
yeah, they just like put it up there, so they're already kissing this guy's ass while he's a rookie, and then they don't give him a contract that he rightfully deserves. Like, you can't play both sides. Like, if you're not going to give him the contract, you better start breaking that thing down a lot sooner, because it's just like, it's very it definitely leaves a weird sour taste in everybody's mouth. But I
yeah.
love that Judge was just like, it's all good, man. I'm just going to go out and I'm going to play better than
I'm gonna
anyone's
hit.
ever
I'm
played
gonna hit
before.
64 home runs.
Yeah.
The don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go out there, be healthy all year, and win the triple crown and hit 64 home runs. No problem.
How many
This
how
is
many strikeouts does he have this season?
That's a good Ilya. Why don't you do that as we wrap up? We'll close with that one.
Because
He's
they don't talk about his strikeouts anymore, you know,
no, I mean,
and
doesn't need to be. He got himself in such a better position. He was at like, close under 25%, I think. He really took control of that. And it's
yeah,
because he can go to all fields. Like he's not a dead pull hitter. He's a complete hitter.
even
He's at
even that little check swing single up the middle the other
Yeah.
day too.
Hell yeah. I love that. Big power hitters usually don't get those.
Right.
He's at 160 strikeouts. on
What's
the
that
season.
percentage? Does it sit? You got that percentage right there?
It's not right here. One
John,
second.
as he finds out before we wrap up, man, can you tell everybody, any projects that you're working on that you want to highlight, or where everybody can find you and check out your work?
Oh yeah, sure. I have one quick story. We're talking
Okay.
Yankees Red Sox really quick.
Let's do it.
So being in the sports design world, you meet people from other teams, creative directors from other teams, stuff like that. I've made friends with people from, the Dodgers, the Astros, the Red Sox, and being friendly with some of the team from the Red Sox, sometimes you get invited to other ballparks. So I got invited to Fenway for a Yankees Red Sox game. And of course, I went all decked out, all Yankees gear, brought my dad with me, walking through the back end, walked past Boone. I was yelling at Boone, let's go. Your stupid shit that, New Yorkers yell at Boone. And we were able to go into the Green Monster. So I went to the Green Monster, which was unbelievable. And they let me sign my name in the Green Monster, and you better be goddamn sure I wrote New York City all over that thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, you given Jon Contino a pen or a marker of some sort inside the Green Monster. I don't know if they thought through that choice.
Oh yeah, I don't think so. It was really funny because it's it's the guys that were back there putting up they let me like put up the numbers and stuff like that, or whatever. It was really fun, but to do that in my head, I'm just thinking, I'm like, this is like burying a Jeter jersey under here, like I want to like curse them with like little Yankees love in the Green Monster and hope it didn't really do much. They lost that game, but it was really nice to go in there and tag up the inside of the Green Monster with a little New York love.
Hell yeah. I love it. No, that's great. It makes me feel better knowing that that's there, actually. So
Yeah.
I was actually going to make a request, and I already feel like I know the answer here, but designing the White Sox logo, amazing. If you do ever get the opportunity, if the Red Sox come calling and they say, hey, we need an alternate logo, what's the answer? Is that something that you could even, because you're not only do you have to do that job, but you're staring at it for a long time, going through different iterations and you're writing it over and over. And how does that work? Because that's got to be like one of the biggest conflicts in your brain.
I actually did some work for the Red Sox already. So when David Ortiz retired, they put up 30 billboards around the city of Boston for like farewell, like thanks for blah blah blah. All the billboards are like kissing his ass and all that stuff. Like my billboard, and they were like, this is weird to ask, but would you like to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do it. So my billboard is literally.
I'm glad they acknowledged that it was weird to ask. That's
totally, yeah. My billboard was literally just a silhouette of him swinging, and it just says farewell in really big letters. It's the most neutral bye-bye like billboard you could possibly imagine.
That's hilarious. That's great. So yeah, you sent him on his way with a billboard. That's what that sounds like.
Everyone, and it was really the art director over there, Marissa McLean. She for all the designers that worked on it and did different billboards, she brought them a Red Sox gift. So I don't know if I should say this out loud in public, but she, knowing
no
me,
one's listening, it's fine.
She brought me a Red Sox hat just like she did for everybody else, but she also brought me a can of lighter fluid and a lighter.
That's great. That's great. Hey, that's knowing where you are. I appreciate that.
Right.
That's understanding your surroundings and being aware of that shit. So cool, man. Well, where can people find you online on Twitter and all that stuff?
Twitter and Instagram at Jon Contino, Jon, no H. You could check out some of our work at continostudio.com. I also run. I started a notebook company for the creative people listening. It's
Nice.
colored pages, colored covers and stuff like that. Totally open. It's kind of like one of those things that kind of like it's really simple, but it's like kind of like kickstart your creativity. Where if you want to draw in it, write in it, collage in it, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I also started dipping my toe a little bit into the NFT world
I saw
for
that.
sports
Nice.
related. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's sports related NFT space. It's called MVPL, and that's at MVPL NFT, and it's basically kind of like super sports related. A lot of kind of like fun, goofy stuff. Kind of like pulls from like like Little League. Like it's got like attitude of like NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, all kind of stuff like that. Playing with
Oh,
it,
hell yeah.
and then it's like the whole idea is basically like you use these in order to kind of like get into sporting events and different types of merch, and then eventually we're trying to use it to like get into youth sports and try and do some stuff for youth sports and maybe get some stuff going with that. So yeah, that's another cool project. So yeah, doing a lot of fun stuff right now. Still working with the Buccaneers through this season and Brady's last, and we'll see what happens after that.
All right, man. Well, this is a lot of fun. Appreciate you coming on here. Definitely go check out John's work and give him a follow on Twitter. He's a lunatic Yankees fan like the rest of us. So we'll talk to you guys after the weekend, and here's hoping Judge can maintain and the boys pick him up.